Hey guys, happy Sunday. Well, you guys know that I am here each and every Sunday at 7 o'clock. Well, today we have a special guest with us, Sha'Ron Wright. Definitely, guys, just give us a minute. I wanted to come on early to kind of give people time to come on the live so that when he joins us, then we're already ready to take off, right? So today I have ex-NBA player Sha'Ron Wright with me. And so for those that love the game of basketball, you'll get to hear his journey from high school to college to being drafted to learning things about him since the game of basketball and being in the league. So I would definitely say just be patient. If you want to jump off the live and then join us again at 7, that's fine. I just wanted to come on early to make sure that people are aware of what we got going on today. Of course, you know, I'm your girl Amanda Miller with 105.7 The Phase. Make sure you're following 105.7 The Phase on IG at 105.7 The Phase, and you can head on over to the website to also see what we also offer from 105.7 The Phase. Hey, Big Daddy 708, thank you so much for all your support. You're always jumping on, you're always joining, you're always engaging. I really appreciate your support. Also, guys, you can follow me at Amanda Miller Talks 2 on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Talk.Queens, of course, here on IG. But what we will do, we will, like I stated, make sure that we get on here in enough time to give people an opportunity to join the live. As we know, we always like for the live to be engaging and conversational. So, of course, today is nothing different. Even though we have a guest, if you have any questions for him, please be sure to ask those questions. If you know anybody that's that's in college, that's in high school, that plays basketball, go ahead and tag and share the live because you never know what questions they may have, or if their parents would like to even have questions for him. Again, we have ex-NBA player Sha'Ron Wright with us today, and we're going to talk about love and basketball. And so, guys, let's give it a minute. Of course, we know we don't really initially start to 7, but we're here. So go get what you need and join us right back here at 7 o'clock. Hey, Sean, how are you? And for those who are just joining us, guys, know that we are Talk That Queens on IG, Amanda Miller Talks on Facebook, Amanda Miller Talks 2 on Facebook. And of course, today we have okay, so guys, make sure you tag and share this live. Just let people know that we are here. Of course, at 7, we're going to be ready to dive in and have a great conversation. With Mr. Sha'Ron Wright himself. Guys, continue to support and follow Talk That Queens. As I mentioned, we are live here every Sunday at 7 o'clock. We are live Tuesdays at Amanda Miller Talks on Facebook. So pretty soon we'll be going to TikTok, and it is still Amanda Miller Talks on TikTok. But guys, today we have a lineup. Well, I won't say a lineup. We have an amazing show with ex-NBA player Sha'Ron Wright. If you guys know of anyone that has an athlete that is playing ball, that's interested in ball, that have any questions about going to the league, thank you. Guys, make sure you guys go ahead and tag and share. Because we are definitely going to have an amazing show today. So let's see. We accepted it. Let's see if I can do it again. I don't know. Sometimes IG can be so funny. So I see your request, and I'm trying to bring you on. Let me see if I can send it to you. And so I sent the invite to you, Sha'Ron. So see if it comes your way. When you sent it to me, I accepted it, and maybe it needs to kick in. If it doesn't, tap me in the chat, and I'll try to resend it again. Or you could try to send it to me. I don't know why these things do whatever they want to do sometimes. Hey,
Hey, you.
how are
What's good, sis?
you? How are you?
You look marvelous. How you doing?
Well, thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's all I can say.
hey, before you start,
Of course.
you better let everybody know that we were in third, fourth, and fifth grade
Oh,
together.
you know, I already got that on the agenda, right? Of course, of course. So, guys, make sure you tag and share the live. I was telling them before you came on to definitely tag and share, so that especially parents that have athletes that are
Mhm.
playing the sport right
Right,
now. Just
right,
in case they have any questions, if there anything that they can take away as a nugget as they go on their career journey towards trying to play, in the league or college ball or be recruited, whatever that looks like for them. It's a great opportunity for them to jump on the live and have the parents or the kid to ask
right,
those questions in order to gain some knowledge of what you can share with them in this
right,
space, right?
right, right. I think that's great. That's one piece that we're missing from older people in the way that I actually grew up and learned the game, and there are pitfalls. So you gotta, it helps if you know those things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, of course, as you mentioned, I know where you're from because,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah,
we grew up together. Oh
yeah,
my goodness, like you stated, from elementary school to middle school. I did a little high school at Southwest, but then, of course, I moved away. But of course, we have a long connection of
very long.
friendship, and we always ran in the same circle. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like, okay, well, she knew him. Of course, because when you start coming from a small town, a lot of people know of everybody. But for us,
yeah,
we ran in the same circle, and
yeah, yeah. We
so
did, we did.
absolutely, absolutely. So super excited to have you to give me the opportunity. But of course, we family, so we wouldn't have it
Yeah,
any other way, right? So
right. I
again,
went away.
of course, we know you are a native of Macon, Georgia.
Hmm.
So am I.
Hmm.
Um, tell these people about growing up in Macon, Georgia, a little bit, and we'll start there.
Very, very simple. I was fortunate to come from a area that produced a lot of ball players, and me being a Southwest guy, um, being on teams that were nationally ranked all the time. We were ranked every year. I played with great players, and so when it was my time to really shine, I took advantage of that. But I think growing up in my area, Unionville, I grew up in Unionville, right there. We went to Matilda Hartley together,
Yes.
things like. It was just simple. It was simple. You knew everybody, hometown flavor, that type of thing.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
I think that's why I get a lot of my humility from being me living in LA and being all over the world and actually making it to the NBA and being a high draft pick. Those things kind of served me well because I knew how to act. I knew uh, I had great people in my life.
I
So
love that. I knew how to act. I had great people in my life. Before we get into talking about your career journey, let's talk about that a little bit. The shift
hmm
in culture there. Like it's so different. And when I hear people talk about Macon, I'm like, oh my God, it never was like that when I lived there
nah,
when I was growing up. It's just so different, right?
yeah, it's different. I think the gang culture helps that. I mean, goes into that. The crime rate is kind of spurred by those particular things, but we didn't. I mean, we fought at the skating ring and we went home. We
Right.
ain't killed anybody. It wasn't none of that. We just fought a little bit and went home, and then we were friends the next day. Out of
Absolutely.
that, and that's the main. That's the culture that these young guys, these young kids, they have these days, good or bad. I think millennials kind of, they don't understand that type of thing. So I just pray for them. I got, I've had my children, go through that, and it's just one of those things that I think is a passing phase. So
Absolutely, I agree. So, was basketball, the love of basketball, was
yeah,
that always your thing? Like,
Yeah,
did you
yeah,
play? I know you played college ball and high school ball,
yeah,
middle school ball, but did you ever play rec? Like, I know a lot of people come
yeah,
up playing at rec center.
yeah, yeah. I did. I was fortunate because like I said, I grew up in Unionville
Okay.
area, so I played at the rec center and all that every day. I was one of those guys. I mean, if you remember me, we were classmates and stuff, but I was always clumsy, and I was always a kid that was falling over shit and all that, and I made up my mind that one day I was gonna get my stuff together. So I started jumping rope. I started working my butt out. And when everybody was at the movies at Westgate and the mall, that hey,
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
yeah.
I was in the gym. I was in, they had that old saying, they say, was you with me in the gym? Like I was in the gym. And I think I mean it paid off for me. It really did. It
Wonderful.
paid off.
So guys, as you join the live, please tag and share. Please tag and share to those out there in you on your live so that they can bring them over and ask the questions that they may have for Mr.
Yeah, I'm
Sha'Ron
ready to
Wright.
go.
That's right. So Sha'Ron, what college did you attend?
I went to Clemson University.
So you went to Clemson. Was
Yeah.
like that? Were you looking at Clemson always, or that came from like scouting, like they wanted you to come there? Like, how did you land at Clemson?
Well, um, being like I said, being a Southwest guy, I was always ranked high. So I was ranked top 10 in the country when I
Mm,
came out of high school. So I had 75 offers. I could have went anywhere, but I was going to Duke, and I went to visit my dad, who was in prison at the time, at Reedsville Prison, and I wanted to go to a place where I could win a national championship
okay.
at Duke, and they were very good. That was Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley, those guys. But then my dad was like, "Yo, I need you to get to the NBA. We need to get to the NBA. We ain't got time to be worried about winning no games. All right, get your ass to the NBA." So I took a visit to Clemson. They wanted me to come, and I never left. I went there and I never left. And then obviously, I set 18 records there, and the rest is history. So
Hey, wonderful. So I'm gonna go back a little because you mentioned about your dad being away.
yeah,
And then hearing you say, talking to your dad and the advice that your dad gave you, I think that is awesome because I know a lot of times when we have parents that are in prison or away, especially fathers, kids tend to most time disconnect from them.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
great to know that there was still a relationship there that you were open enough to have or take advice from your father.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was no disgruntledness or anything like that. I didn't really know my dad very well, and he's from the east side of Fort Hill, that type of area over there. Matter of fact, your name came up because I was talking to my guy, Lock Dog.
Yeah,
He told me
of
he grew up
course.
next door to my grandparents. He
Okay.
grew up next door to my grandparents in Fort Hill, and he was like, because he was on your show,
Yes.
and he was like, man, shout out to Amanda Miller, that thing. It was really cool. So, but yeah, I didn't have a good relationship with my dad because it was just he was gone. He never. But I did go to visit him because I knew he played ball. He played ball, and he gave me that advice, and it worked out for me. Going to Clemson was the best decision I ever made. Although I could have went to Florida State or Duke or UCLA or Tennessee or Syracuse. I could have went to all those schools, but I wanted a situation that would get my family out those canned goods and out of the ghetto. And we lived on Key Street in Macon, Georgia, and we didn't have a lot at all. None of us did. You either. We all would
Hey,
come
the way but it's amazing, and I always tell people all the time, you can either decide your journey. I know sometimes it's challenging when people don't come from a lot.
Yeah.
that you could be either a product of your environment, or you can decide that I'm not going to be a product of my environment and I'm going to do great things. And it's all about your ambition because, like you stated, we didn't come from a whole lot, but hey, we obviously decided that we wanted to do future things that would benefit us and our families. And so, salute to you for having that drive and ambitious and doing what you needed to do.
Yeah,
Um,
for
Go
sure.
ahead, you could talk to that about it if
Um,
you want.
I just, having a journey. The first thing I would say to that is that I had a strong base and a foundation. I had my mother, who was, man, rest in peace, my
Yes,
mom. She was great.
condolence.
And my grandmother, we were living in Atlanta, and then we moved back from Atlanta to Macon when I was in first grade, and that's when I started going to
Okay.
Hartley because I was
Okay.
going to Atlanta in College Park, and then obviously the Atlanta child murders, all that happened, and then we moved back and we moved to Kingston Garden, and then we came to Unionville. So my aunt Dale Banks, and then my mom and my grandmother, three people raised me, and they raised me to be strong, to make my own decisions, but also stick with them and have accountability. So like that was huge for me, and making that decision to go to Clemson was a part of that. So
Once you got to Clemson, and you mentioned that you stayed there for the duration. Talk.
no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So
I,
great, great, great.
I
Let's
left
talk
for 3
about
years.
that.
I was that good, girl. So, so
Well,
I, I left
wait.
after 3 years.
Okay, because that's one of my questions that I was
hmm
going to ask you. But before we get to that, let's talk about scouting. For
Okay.
those that don't really know, such as myself, a lot about, now I love basketball, but the
hmm
way that that flows as
hmm
far as scouts, like, do players know when scouts are coming? How is the what? Let me ask you this: how important is it to have a relationship with the coaches?
It's very important. I learned that from high school because when I would go into practice every day at Southwest, we're nationally ranked every year at Southwest. We know that, and so I would go in the gym, and John Thompson would be there, or one of the coaches at Syracuse or Florida State or Duke. They would be in our practice every day. No other school in Georgia, Middle Georgia, could say that. We had 5, 6, and 7 multiple coaches, big coaches, in our gym every day, not one day, but every day. So I learned how to act, and I learned how to bring my game every day, and it just made me, coming behind from Eric Manuel or
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey Boyd or
Yes.
Eric Jackson or Steve Greer. Like I came from those guys, so like I wanted to be them. I wanted to be Terry Fair. I wanted to be Miles Patrick. Now I wanted to be, those guys. Myself, Reggie Manuel. We all wanted that. So that's one part of things that kind of spurred me on. But coaching and being, to your question, being in the right place, the right time, and learning how to work and bringing your A game. So when a coach or a scout comes to your game, you got to put on. You got
Right.
to get right.
That's right. That's right. Show up and show out, right?
Yeah, show up and show out.
When you were at Clemson and
hmm
you said 3 years,
Yeah,
did you have and I'm going to ask these questions because I'm not
yeah,
really clear on how all of this works. So again, that's why I say, parents, y'all tag and share because you can help your young one learn what this looks like, this journey as they play ball, if
yeah.
they are headed towards there, like towards that direction. Did you have an agent?
I did. My mother was my
Okay.
agent.
I
Like,
understand, right.
no,
Look, as you
but,
see, my mom is my agent, right?
yeah, yeah. But my mom had a plan for me,
Okay.
Felicia.
Okay.
She had a plan. I'm talking about like even when we were like you and I were in fourth and fifth grade, like in the same class. Like my mom had a vision for me. Like she made. I mean, there was no he gonna do this, he gonna do that. We did everything according to plan. And anything I ran everything through my mom because she had a plan for me. She knew exactly. Like even when I was stumbling over your books in third grade. Like, she knew I was gonna be an NBA player. Even then, she would say it, and you know how they say, bring things into
That's
fruition.
right.
She was doing, but I think nowadays, you know, that I'm an old school guy now, but these kids now have agents at like high school. They got like, cause you know why? Because the NIL money, they can get money now. It's not against the rules,
Yes,
so they have to
absolutely.
have agents now to get that money. So yeah.
How, to that, what you just spoke to, what is your thoughts on that? Knowing that back when they were not able to, and that now that they are, do you think that should have always been to get to
Uh,
be able to get monies in that space and
yeah.
with the game of ball?
Like I'm kind of torn on that because you know, the way I grew up, the way you grew up, you know, we if I'm gonna say this, if I was playing right now, I'd be worth 5 million. But you know, these kids now, you can't say don't get their money. I think they should get their money. And maybe if you know the way it's going, I mean, I wish it would have been that way when I played. But I would say to a young black player, get the money. Get the money you're gonna get, because guess what? The NCAA makes $2 billion a year off of them. So why can't the kids make
That's
money?
right.
Why can't they get $100,000, $200,000, and take care of their families when they families eating canned goods every day? But
Absolutely.
you're the NCAA, but you're making $2 billion a year, and you telling them no, just get your education. No, man, who's doing that? We ain't doing that. We want the money. Give these kids their money. They're the ones you're making money off
You're
of.
making money off
They're,
of them.
you're
Absolutely.
making money off them. At Clemson, Amanda, my jersey was all over the stores at Clemson, all over South Carolina, North Carolina, but I didn't make a dime off
Oh
of that.
my goodness.
You see
That's
what I'm saying? So it's
crazy.
and then I'm on TV. I'm the player of the year in the conference. I'm the first team, all this and that. I'm all that, but I can't feed my family.
Isn't
My
that
family.
crazy?
So
But they're making monies off of your jersey, you're on
yeah, yeah,
television and all of that,
hmm yeah,
but you're not able to benefit off your name and your talent.
exactly. So that's crazy.
Very
So
true.
that's a different perspective to look at it. I think the common people won't look at it that way, and of course, people who are just fans, they're not gonna look at it that way. When they give an education, man, you can go back to school at 75.
Right.
Look at your kids. Give me my money, dog. Give me my money. Stop
Absolutely.
playing with me.
That's
Like,
real.
but they laugh my way to the bank. They making $2.5 billion a year, but you should be happy with your education. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I can go to Crandall College or Bill Tech and get that. Don't play with me.
That's
You know.
real. I agree. I've always been a fan of athletes being paid for their skill, their
Yeah.
talent, especially for those that are really good athletes that have, as you mentioned, your jersey, your products in the
hmm
stores, and people are
hmm
buying them, and you just not making anything off of it. Because again, even though I'm playing in the league, I still have a family, a college. I still have a
Yeah.
family to take care of along the way, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody didn't come to school with a silver spoon. And
No.
right.
No.
So let's go to, you said you played 3 years for Clemson, right?
Clemson. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about when you were drafted.
Okay.
All right.
Oh man.
Let's go there. Let's talk about the excitement. Like, I know sometimes that, of course, drafts are held in a certain place. And then I see
Yeah.
some of the people, they're home, they're on television. Were you directly at the location where the draft took place, the
Oh yeah.
city?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
See, every year in the NBA, what we do in the NBA is the top 10 or 15 or 20 guys are gonna go.
Okay.
They're gonna be in what's called the green
Got you.
room. They're gonna be in the green room. So the mock draft came out my junior year, and I actually could have went pro my sophomore year, but my mama was like, "No, we're gonna get your draft stock up." I was gonna be a top 15 pick even that year, but my mom was like, "No, go back one more year, um, and then we'll get you better draft status." So, yeah, I went. One of my teammates from high school was with me. My mom, my attorney, Virgil Adams from Macon. My mom, and then my cousin Will. Like it was about 7 or 8 of us that went to the draft. My brother, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Hey,
great,
hey, hey.
great, great.
Side note. My brother graduated with your sister.
Yeah, I know Sean and my sister graduated
But I'm
together.
the one who had a crush on Carissa. So just so if she's looking, she should know that. By the way,
Right.
hey Carissa, it could have been you.
So let's look at, so guys, if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the chat and I will make sure we get those talked about. So All Eyes on Q said, I've always felt the players should be paid, like we
Yeah,
were saying. I was in full support of Ed O'Bannon and his fight against NCAA. So guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll go ahead. Um, uh, Teresa talking about, come on, are you serious? I am listening.
you could have
So
been.
one.
Hey, you could be in lobster and shrimp, girl. Stop playing.
So just talking about that day that you were drafted,
Yeah,
right? What
right.
pick were you?
I was 6th pick
I figured
overall.
that from your tag.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
wanted to make sure, okay?
Right, right.
And how was that on that day
Um,
for you
Dream come
once they
true.
said your name?
Yeah, yeah. You when the mock draft comes out, you know where you're gonna be picked.
Okay.
I knew I was one of the top 5 players in the nation. I knew that, so I knew I was gonna get drafted early. I just didn't know where. But I worked out for Philly like 3 times. So they bring you in before the draft comes. I worked out for the Lakers. I worked for Milwaukee, Phoenix. But I knew Philly had a thing for me, and they were going to draft me. So I knew I would be top 5 or top 6. And then just seeing the look on my mother's face, we had struggled for so long, and
Oh my goodness.
man, we lights cut off, no phone, that type of stuff. We even eating every part of a pig, that type of
Mm,
shit. It was bad, and to see my mother. No, she knew, like, you know what? We out of here. We
absolutely.
ain't going through this no more. My son got us here, and we gonna be all right. That I think that's the best part. Although like it's my dream to play
Right.
NBA. Like to see my mom understand that, you know what? You finna get a new house. You finna get a new car. You finna get clothes. You finna go on vacation. You ain't got to work no more. That is what made my life better. Made me smile. So
Oh my goodness. It's the story and the journey and the we made it out, but
yeah,
we knew we was putting in the work to make
yeah.
it out. And you just gotta, nothing comes easy. You gotta work hard at
Do that.
what you want. Like these kids these days, they want everything so easy as a hand me out. But if you want it and it's your dream and it's your passion, you gotta work hard to go
Yeah,
get it. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I don't take for granted the work. I really work hard, and I think people that know me, like you, like I know you 30 some years, but like people that know me, they take for granted. They think that it just happened. It didn't just happen. I worked my ass off. Like, and you remember me being clumsy when we were in elementary school. There wasn't no more of that
Right?
shit. Like
You're
I
like, uh-uh.
got a dream. I got a dream
That's
because
right.
like I know how hard it is for my folks, my auntie Dale, and I know how hard it was for my grandmother and my mother. Like I wasn't finna let none of that go on no more. So when I got a chance, I worked my ass off. I was on the bottom court of Unionville Gym at night all day. I played ball all day. I worked on my craft. I worked. And for people that think it's easy, it is not easy. It's not easy. You have to work. You got to work. So
For those that do not know, what team drafted you?
Philadelphia
Okay.
76ers.
And
Yeah.
how long did you play for them?
I, I played 2 years for them. And the end of the second year, I got traded.
Okay.
Um, that was the Iverson years. That was the Iverson
Okay.
stuff. And then I went to Toronto because I had a relationship with Isaiah Thomas
Okay.
and Damon Stoudemire, who's the coach at Georgia Tech now. We had a relationship because we won a gold medal together in the Olympics.
Oh,
So we were on the same. Yeah. So I have two
see, I
gold
didn't
medals
know
actually.
that.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
See, your buddy from elementary school
Right.
got two gold medals. You know, but yeah, and so what happened with that was I wanted a new start because I had a lot of teammates that were not doing the right things, and
Okay.
so they wanted me in Toronto and traded for me, and I played there for 4 years, and then I played one season with the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA.
With playing for different teams, let's talk about, were there any challenges or anything different as you played for different teams? Was it an easy
Yeah,
transition or were there some challenges?
that's the hardest part I think about that goes overlooked in the NBA is when you get traded. Um, in my position, I wanted to be traded because I didn't like the losing we were doing. We had a futility mark in Philadelphia where we didn't win a lot of games, and then I wanted to be on a team with better players and a not better organization, but just better. So I went from the Derek Coleman and who's my guy, not Big Bro, and then Weatherspoons and Vernon Maxwell's to Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady and Doug Christie and those guys. And so we and Marcus Camby, and we started winning. We started and Oliver Miller. We started winning it, and gradually coming. And then they're the Raptors at UC now. So, but yeah, being traded is hard because like you gotta get to a new city, you gotta get into a place. At the time I had a little
I was
girl.
just about to ask, did
Yeah,
you have a family at that time?
yeah,
And how is that transition for your
yeah,
family when you're moving?
yeah. Yeah, that was hard. My daughter Justice was just being born, so that was hard coming from Philly to Philadelphia. I mean, from Philly to Toronto. That's why it's cool to have family because I could send my mother or my brother or my auntie or something to go get me a place, set it up, and I can just get there. Because I'm on the road. In the NBA, you play 82 games, so that part is hard in itself. You're on the road all the time. You don't have time to do that type of thing. And for the first 3-4 weeks, I stayed in a hotel in Toronto. I was in the Skydome Hotel. It was crazy. It was me and Doug Christie, who's married to Jackie Christie
Okay.
on the Basketball Wives. Yeah,
Okay.
so we were.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were. I was in there, for a long time, and then I got a place the following summer. So
So let's talk about, so the last team that you played for, what team did you last play for?
Minnesota Timberwolves.
So
Uh,
Minnesota Timberwolves.
yeah,
Why did you stop playing ball?
I never stopped. I broke my arm in like
Okay.
7 places. That last year with Toronto, and I just I wasn't the same player. It took a lot because I was out for like a year and a half. I was in Macon goofing around and doing stupid stuff, and I was in a car accident really bad that I
Oh
almost died in.
my goodness.
And then like so I took a year and a half off, and then I went to Minnesota, but I didn't play much. So my agent said, "Well, we're gonna take you to Europe." So that's why I went to Europe after that. I played the 6 years, but then I went to Europe. I went to Spain and Korea, then China, then back to Spain, then to Holland, and then I ended my career that way.
How was it for you after you got injured? We know we talked about early on your drive, your ambition, and your will to push through. So with your injury, how impactful was that for you as far as getting back healthy in a position to get back out there to play ball?
I,
Did
I
your
think I think that was one of the toughest things I ever had to do because you come through high school, you go to college, and and you play in the NBA for a while, and then you're like, okay, I'm invulnerable. Like I can do a lot. I'm better. But then once I came back, I wasn't the same player. That's the hardest part, is when you used to do something really good and then you can't do it no more. That's the hardest thing for any man or any woman to go through, when you're not as good as you used to be. The training was hard. Uh, I tried to be in better shape. I think that was it. But it's like you got a peg lifted off of you. You can't do certain things. You're still good,
Right.
but you're not the same player. And I knew my second year in Europe that I wasn't an NBA player no more. I knew that. But rather than just go and sit on the bench and earn a paycheck and not do much, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play meaningful basketball. So
Absolutely, because of your passion for the
yeah,
game of
exactly.
basketball. Let's talk about just that. When you went back after your injury, did you play directly out, or were you did not get the opportunity to play as many games, or were you
Right.
benched, or like what did that look like for you when you came back?
When I came back at the end of the year for Toronto, I just knew that I wasn't the same player. You could tell by even my strength and stuff like that. Because when you take a year off with the type of injury I had in my left arm, it was hard. Um, and so I just decided to go to Europe because I knew that I would have time to get better. It wasn't just the stuff that goes on in the NBA, because in the NBA you got to be right. They're paying you to be a super. You got to be super in the
How
NBA. And
different was that from
yeah,
playing in the
it was
league to
different.
playing overseas?
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit about that.
yeah. I think that to revitalize my career and keep my career going. I needed to do that, not just for the money or anything like that. It wasn't the money. It was just I'm a ball player, and I grew up playing, and I wanted to keep playing. And the hardest part about that was being away from my children. Uh, my daughter Justice, who's a player, and my son, like they missed me. But what I did was I started getting them tickets to come to Europe, and so we would go to Germany and Paris and all that. So it worked out.
Coming out of the league,
Hmm.
coming out of what kind of, well, coming out of playing basketball altogether, because you
Right,
stated you knew that you wasn't as good of a player that you were overseas, or when you came back from your injury, when you
right,
played in
right.
the league. The biggest decision to stop playing ball, what did you decide to do after you decided that you were going to do something different?
When I got finished, that was a great period of where, you don't know what you're gonna do. I mean, especially when all I've ever done is play ball since I was, 10 years old. So I didn't know exactly what to do. I started going into the coaching situations, and then I took a job in Europe, in Holland, in the Netherlands, and then I started coaching there, assistant coach, and then head coach, and all that. And I think that was what gave me the light to say, okay, you're going to stay in the game and you're going to be a coach. And I started teaching and coaching kids and, players in Europe and players in NBA and things like that. And then that gave me a little bit more, a little juice to, you know, to keep
So
going.
Noah says one of the greatest coaches ever. So guys, if y'all have wonderful, thank you for stating that
Yeah,
to him.
yeah.
If
You
y'all
know,
have any questions, please put it in the chat for Sha'Ron, and we'll answer those
I know,
questions.
I know. Noah's gonna ask me about Nas versus Jay-Z, so he's
Oh, okay.
always doing
Well, what
that.
is that about? Give us some inside scoop to
No, I'm a huge Nas fan. I've been to concert twice. He's the greatest MC of all
got
time. So, and then he thinks that Jay-Z is. So, then we always argue about that. But I'm a big music head, by the way. I'm a
got
big
it.
music head. So,
Um, what? So your kids, Justice plays ball. Do your how many kids do you have?
I have five,
Out of your
and
five, who plays ball?
four of them
Okay.
play. My daughter London does not play, never did. But my daughter Justice played played uh, at Clemson, where I played, where Actually, my jersey is retired
All
there.
right.
And then
Congrats.
she transferred to Auburn after 2 years and finished up there. She got a degree. My son Sha'Ron Jr. played at Wake. He was a top 25 kid, and now he's finished. And then now my son Nicholas, and I live in Phoenix
Okay.
now, and he's one of the top players. Uh, he's one of the top players in the Arizona area. My young one is 14. His name is Tice. He plays on Shaquille O'Neal's team. AAU team. So we, they're basketball heads like me, you know what I mean, and they carry it on. I just always teach them like, hey, if you're gonna do this, do it hard.
That's right. Go hard or
You're
go
gonna,
home, right?
yeah, work hard or go home. And I think I just wanted them, if they went to the NBA or WNBA, that's fine. But I just want them to be, get their degrees. And just as, she has a degree from Auburn. So I'm thankful about that.
So J Mac 1572 says Rodney Kendall said, "What's up?"
Hey, Rodney. You know Rodney,
Of
right?
course, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rodney. Rodney's good people, man. That's my guy.
Melissa says hi. Melissa
Hi.
Alexander. Yo-Yo said, "How do you feel living back in the States versus overseas?"
Hmm. Interesting. I'm a political science guy, so I hated the Trump years and I love the Biden years. I think the cultures are different over there, Yo-Yo. The culture is very different because you have number one, you have free healthcare. That's
Okay.
number one over there. The cost of living is way lower. You don't have a whole bunch of crime going on. So I enjoy living in Europe, and any chance I got my daughter and my son to come, and they spent summers there. I mean, so culturalistic, the culture is different, and I love America, but if I had a chance to live over there, I would.
Let me let me ask you about the differences between, since Yo-Yo brought that up. Playing ball, and we don't need to know a dollar amount, but is there a huge difference in the pay in basketball there and here?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah. I don't mind sharing that with you because you family, and I love you. So no, I signed a really good deal. My first 2 years, 3 years, I had an extension, and with Toronto, so I had an extension with that. So you're making a lot more money. Listen, these kids are making so much money now. Like there are two guys on every NBA team making 200 million
Oh,
contract, and then that's not counting the ones that are making 50 and 175. I mean, the payroll for an NBA team right now every year is about 190 million. So it's horrible. It's crazy. When I played, I think I don't know if Jordan was the highest paid. It may have been Jordan, but I mean, we weren't making a whole lot of money like that. And then to cross reference it with Europe, I think you're making 30 grand a month, maybe 20 grand a month sometimes. It's not as much as I give you the perspective. LeBron James makes about 40 to 55 million, $55,000 every week. You see what I'm saying?
a
So
week.
that's a lot of money.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
That's a
So that just
lot of
tells you
money.
that tells you exactly
Right.
what I mean. So
Those
every month,
differences.
yeah. So every month he's making $400,000, whatever, or 500 or whatever it is.
Got it. Thank you, Noah, for tapping in. Right now, today,
Yeah.
let's talk
Hmm.
about where you are in a space of health wise.
Okay. Okay.
Let's talk about if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think people want to know. Uh, I think it's well known that I had some health setbacks and things like that. But there's a silver lining in that too.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Um, I'll run you back
Okay.
to how that happened. I was doing a basketball camp in Birmingham, Alabama, and I noticed that um, I was having tingling in my legs, and then I started getting a fever, and I was with my two young boys, Nicholas and Tice, and I took them over there to do the camp and all that, and I had went to Macon uh, like a couple of weeks before that, and I did my camp that me and my mom had,
Okay.
and so my cousin Alita noticed that my leg was swollen, and then she's like, okay, and then I ended up in the hospital in Macon, and then they let me go. So I went home, and then I came back and went to Alabama. While we're coming back, I went into like a mini coma on the
Oh
plane.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
and so my son Nicholas, he got me off the plane, put me in the Uber, and took me to the hospital, and they put me in an induced coma. And I had a bad infection that started on my heel because I was in a pool right before we left. I was in a pool and scraped my toe, and it was a dirty pool.
Oh my.
And the pool got all type of bad stuff into me, and then that it hit me right away. And so I woke up in the hospital in Phoenix, and they waited a week, and they tried to cure the inflammation and the infection, but they could not. And so the doctor came in and he said, "Okay, well, um, if we don't clear this up and kill this, you're gonna die in 25 days at least. If we don't
Oh,
amputate your left
oh
leg."
my goodness. Wow.
And I closed the door. I didn't close it. They closed it. I said, give me about an hour to decide on this. I called my mama and cried with her, and we decided that I would get it amputated just to save my life,
Absolutely.
and because I was feverish. I was infected big time all over, but they couldn't stop it, and so I became an amputee, and for the first year, I was secluded. I didn't talk to anybody. I got rid of people who loved me, and what made it worse was because my mother died that week, and
I'm so sorry.
yeah, and that was
I'm
hard.
sure it
That,
was
that,
going through what you
that,
was going through
yeah,
and
yeah,
knowing that, of course, she has always been your biggest
yeah,
cheerleader, and to know
yeah,
that now you're in this situation. And I don't care how old we get, we need and want our moms during our hardest journeys of our
yeah.
lives, right? So yeah, I'm sure that was a lot for you. How have things been to your road to not necessarily recovery, but going through your motions to try to get some sense of mobility and getting around? How's that been for you?
And it's been tough. I think like I was saying, it would have been easier if my mother was here or there at that time, but going through a storm and then she dies right at that time. That's probably the hardest thing I ever been through. You know, that it's, the recovery was crazy. I documented it, by the way,
Okay,
and
okay.
yeah, it was tough. Learning to fend for myself. It took me a year. I stayed in a rehab facility for like 6 months because I couldn't. I was too weak, and it was this and that, and But I would tell you that it's like, coming from where we come from, like I couldn't just like, bow out. I had to just get on my horse, and the things that made me a good player, I used those things to get better. And now, like I'm getting around, I get around. I'm raising my little boys. I'm doing so much, and I'm retired, so I can do what I want to do. I'm loving life, I think, and just to go through that tough time, that was a tough.
Hey, Van. So, Van, do you have questions for us? Can you hear us? Van, can you hear us? No? Can you try it on your end?
He can just type it in.
Yeah, if you can't hear us, put it in the chat because we can't hear you. Let me see. I think we had somebody else that wanted
Yeah, that's
somebody
cool.
else that wanted to come.
I'm
So
glad. I'm glad to be able to talk about it. It's something that I think can inspire people in both ways. It could inspire young guys. It
Oh.
could inspire people. So
see, I think y'all's hitting join and ain't realize that y'all are hitting join.
That's what happened.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh,
But if you have a
okay.
question, that's fine. And if you don't, hey yo yo, that's fine too.
Hey, how you
hi,
doing?
I'm good. How you doing, love?
I'm doing great. I'm just so wowed by your comeback and your
Yeah,
enthusiasm to move forward. I'm just, it's a blessing to be here to hear your story. And
yeah.
my another question is, how can I watch the documentary? I want to see. I want to know. I'm just like,
Because you guys got
I'm
both
actually
got an
working.
amazing story. So Sha'Ron, if
yeah.
you have not when you get an opportunity, guys, y'all can go back on the page
Okay.
because hers is pinned. And I won't get off your story. I just want guys to know that Yo-Yo has an amazing story as well.
Okay.
I tie that into it goes back to when life gives us lemons, make lemonade. You
Yeah.
both have an amazing story, and we can either decide to do one or two things. We can decide to fight through it, to push through, to make positive impacts from our story, or we can just let life beat us down and let it just diminish what we're trying to do. But
Yeah.
you both have an amazing story. So, guys, I encourage
Okay.
you to just be definitely an outlet to kids or even grown people to motivate them because you guys have an amazing story to tell. Sha'Ron, for you, encouragement coming from, and yo, stay on with us, please. Coming
Okay, I will.
from Macon, Georgia, small town, as you mentioned, not the best of upbringing, Matilda
Yeah.
Hartley, Bella A,
Mm.
Southwest High School, coming through your journey of your clumsiness and
Yeah.
just doing the things that you know you needed to do to get to the NBA. What words of encouragement would you give in your entire journey to where you are now, having to get your leg amputated and not even being able to play ball anymore, meaning with your kids, coaching, none of that? What does that look like with words of encouragement to people?
Um, I'm glad you asked me because when I lived on Key Street in Macon, Georgia, we used to my mama used to make me pin a piece of school paper on the mirror in the bathroom, and it would
Oh, wow.
have all my goals on it. Okay, I want to be a McDonald's All American. Check. I want to be a gold medalist. Check. I want to have state championships at Southwest. Check. I want to be a top 5 draft pick. Check. These are the things that I would say get yourself a list. I know it sounds kind of pretentious, but get yourself a list and check off the things of your goals. You gotta have goals. You can't just
That's
like I was telling you earlier. It don't just
good.
happen. Things don't just happen that way. You gotta have something that you're gonna go for and have at your disposal. Now, for me, when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at, okay, well, you know what? I gotta give Northeast High School 35 tonight. Okay, well, you know, I remember when, you know, me and Amanda Miller were in 4th grade and I couldn't lift the basketball. So I have to. These are the things that I did. I had a kill list. I killed off everything I wanted to do. And I know it sounds, like I said, it sounds kind of crazy, but it works for me because I was one of those kids that people thought could not do. He can't do this, so you're not gonna do that. I was one of those guys that they said couldn't do, and I did.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. And you did it, and you did it well. Amazing. I am
Thank
so
you,
proud of you.
thank you.
I really am. Oh, of course, because again, I know where we come from,
Yeah,
but I also know that we had great parents,
yeah,
and we were reared and raised in a small town, but with good morals and good values. And
yeah,
I encourage kids to these days and parents, tap into your kids. Know what your kids are doing, pour into them, and make sure that those things that don't seem right, don't look right, don't feel right, talk about them.
yeah,
Right.
Because kids these days be going through a lot, definitely more than what
yeah,
we have ever
yeah,
gone
yeah.
through. And so
They
we
going
definitely,
through grown up issues. They got grown up issues. We didn't have grown up issues.
yep,
Our issues is like come home from school, go outside. Don't go out. Don't be outside when the street light come on. Get your ass in the house. That's it. These kids got grown up issues now, than we did. So, and that's why I did a camp and make it for 25 years free camp. That's the reason I did that. Um, I made sure that they got education in the camp. They got free stuff. They ate 2 meals in the
right.
camp. Those are the type of things. That's why I did what I did because I had started noticing a trend that kids were just not the same way that we were. They dealing with, like I said, grown up issues, and that's a bad mixture. And that's why you see the gang culture so high. That's why you see a lot of killing and murders and crime and all that. That's why you see kids that are 17, 18, 19 years old in jail. That's why you see it. You know,
Yolanda,
I,
to tie this
I,
into
mm,
your story, Faith,
hmm.
her book is called Faith Over Fear.
really?
Let's transition that to his
Okay.
story. Talk about it for me.
For me, going through those same transitions, even I can just say this as of yesterday about the children and the change of being protected and helped. I was physically assaulted yesterday by my grandson,
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Wow.
and nobody knows it yet, but through the course of my own life, I had to deal with those same issues of wanting help, wanting to be protected, wanting to be loved, and I ended up in a situation that costed me a 2-decade prison sentence from a complete stranger.
right,
So
So
that
your
take
input back into the community is major. I didn't
right,
have that.
right,
right. So
right.
faith over fear. When you hear his story and having the faith and the fear of the amputation, can you
Yeah.
identify with what that looks like, Yolanda, from your book?
Yes, from my book and from your amputation, it's just that belief. Let me put this TV on mute. Your strong will to move forward and have enough faith to overcome that is powerful. It's moving, and thank God that you didn't let the fear override your faith.
That's right.
So I applaud you 1000%. I mean, this is so moving.
It very
Yolanda,
Yes.
it was hard though. Like I said, the memory of my mother is what kept me going, and what she taught me, and how I had to be stronger when I was younger. She made sure that I was strong enough to go through anything, and I can't say that it wasn't hard. It was, and it's still hard for me. I'm an amputee. I don't walk very well,
Yeah.
if all.
And it could
I walk with
go,
I
go
walk
ahead.
with
I'm sorry.
I walk with a walker. Sometimes I'm in a wheelchair. You would never think, okay, wow, this guy was a top five, top six draft pick. He played a long time, played pro 14
Hmm.
years, you know, on TV, in movies. I done a lot of stuff, and you would never think that. But you know, I always tell people I'm just a kid from Unionville. That's what I
I
am.
I also wanted to add in comparison from my book Faith Over Fear, when you speak about your mom, that was my biggest highlight for writing my book, because during my incarceration, I lost my mom and my dad
Yeah,
during my incarceration, and that's something you can't get back. Your hero, and it helped you to move forward, but in that same token, it's like a chokehold that shake that faith to say,
yeah.
"Mom, I'm here.
And
I did it. I made it across
yeah,
that finish line." So
there was no way that I was gonna sit. I mean, it was hard, yo. It was hard
yeah.
at first, but
Hmm.
there was no way I could sit and be like, I'm just gonna quit. Like my mama is on my. You know how they have. I was telling my lady this too.
Hmm.
Then you have the devil on one side and the other.
And the angel
Like
on the other.
he's like on this side, like, boy, what did I tell you? You better get off your butt, get out that hospital bed, get out of that rehab center, and get your life. And that's what I did. Eventually, that's what I did. So,
Zora
Way to go.
says, so proud of my brother, Zora. And then
oh, that's my sister
Kay,
right
Kay
there.
Ray, I'm just gonna say that, says so proud of you. And so guys, I want to thank Sha'Ron for taking the time to come on the show, talk about his journey, um, be so transparent, and talk about the ups and the lows of his career and his life and where he is today. And just knowing that anything we put our minds to, that we can accomplish if we put faith over the fear and just push through with our journey.
Amen.
I always say, and I'm gonna come around to you both before we close out the show. I always say there's a lot of amazing people out there. If you aren't one, become one. Sha'Ron, your words of wisdom to these people before we close out.
I would say, what does not kill you makes you
Love
stronger.
it.
I live in proof of that. Uh, I can't complain about my life because I've had a great life. I've had a life that people would dream about, you know, my career, everything. Coming from where I come from, those type of careers don't happen. So I'm blessed and I've been blessed and God has shielded me and in ways that you could never imagine. You know, sometimes we don't see that. Um, but I definitely felt it. And even in times when I question things, I could never question the Lord's will because
Amen.
what's gonna be is gonna be. You may have to go through, um, for everybody out there, you may have to go through a tough time to get to a better time. You can't, but one thing you cannot do is question what He wants for us. You cannot do that. I did that, and I learned not to do that because I was like,
Yeah.
why me, God? Like, why am I amputee? Why is He telling me I'm gonna die in 25 days if I don't get this amputation? Why? Why did this happen to me? I was just in a swimming pool. Why? Why? Well, okay. Well, why did they give you a $15 million contract? Or why did you
Mm,
be the player of the year in the conference and the rookie of the year and
Hmm.
the a top 5 draft pick? Why that? So we can't question that. But what we can do is question your faith. We can question your faith. What kind of faith do you have? And
Amen.
I serve a very good God,
Amen.
a gracious God.
I mean,
absolutely. Yolanda, please, thank you for joining us. Just a
hmm
little words of wisdom from you as well.
for me is walk by faith, not by sight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys,
And
thank you
nothing
so
beats a failure but a trier.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank
I'm
you. Yeah,
can I say one more thing too?
yeah, sure, of
I I
course.
I watch your show, um, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Not only because not knowing you my whole life pretty much. I like when we doing things that are positive. Now
Yes.
I saw a couple of your shows and y'all were being a little raunchy, man. I was
Because
like,
we
hey
talk
man,
unapologetically real on the Amanda
yeah.
Miller
I was
talk.
like, yo, cause because Lock Dog was on there one time. I like him. Then I started watching. I'm like, they really talking about
We
that?
do.
Oh my man!
Look, on
You
this
had
show, we talk unapologetically real. But you know what? The good thing is it's diversified, so we transition to stuff
Hmm.
just like this because we want to be sure we touch everything and everybody. So we have a platform that can fit any and everybody.
Everybody.
And
yes,
so, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate you.
That's what's
love it,
Have
love
an
it.
amazing week, guys. I'm your girl, Amanda Miller at 105.7 The Phase. I am here each and every Sunday at 7 o'clock, but we are Facebook on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock under Amanda Miller Talks. Any of our shows, you can go to our YouTube page and see a lot of the shows there. There may be some that identify with you, some may not, because
Hmm.
again, we keep it all the way 100 here. Have an amazing week, guys.
Nice to meet you, Yo Yo.
the
Nice to
same
meet
Love
here.
you,
Reach out anytime
Sha'Ron.
you
you for
need
Love
sure.
you,
me.
brother.
Call.
Bye.
For sure.
All right.
Have a
Thank you.
great week.
Bye bye.